My name is Ellen McLaughlin, and I'm going to talk about the Startup Incubator. It is a nonprofit organization, and it was founded by John Bradley Jackson in 2011. The purpose of the Center for Entrepreneurship was to give advice and be applied learning to entrepreneurs. The Cal State University Fullerton provided information to create ideas into lucrative realities. There was a communication problem. There was a lack of insufficient outreach. There was no community outreach. There was no strategy for sponsorship. And there was a,
I'm sorry, that's okay.
you, but there are strengths. The SWOT analysis was determined, and the strengths for endorsement by the California State University Fullerton, Mahalo College of Business and Economics, and the location is on the main campus and easily and favorable for anyone traveling north and south. The service availability to the entrepreneurs is mentoring and applied services. Diverse groups can include international and domestic. They also can look upon people who are trying to do internship and volunteering. Then the sponsors. There are corporate sponsors, and they are technology driven. The weaknesses are insufficient brand identity and website. Without this, there is no way to succeed. There's no way for the Startup Incubator to go forward unless they have these 3 items. So it does lack interns and promoters, and this could really speed up the process if they were to open up and have this in their program. Without advertisement, no one will know about the Startup Incubator. So therefore, we went forward and started the electronic message board for advertisement that there were going to be events, and this way the students of Mahalo Business and Economics would have this awareness that there is a program for them and they could pursue a business to start up. Okay, another weakness is the fee-based incubator. It costs $5,000. Now there are opportunities. There's an opportunity for the brand, identity, and website, and this would give them a chance to look forward to the future. Marketing, public relations. They have an outreach to the Cal State University community here on the campus. Now there's flexibility with hours, and the hours are in the late afternoon. Then there's consulting, there's mentorship for the residents who are serious about becoming involved in starting their own business. Now the threats are competitors such as UCI, such as Even Nexus. Even Nexus has their own website. They're also located in Irvine, south of the main campus. And the competitor does not have a fee. Okay, the core problem and opportunity, the shortfall in outreach and communication efforts. The Cal State University students was not aware that Cal State University Fullerton had this opportunity for them to start their own business. The opportunity is discovered by two target audiences, and that is sponsorship, corporate sponsorship, technology driven. So bridge the gap between the incubator, corporate sponsors, and community. And I will hand this over to Ashley.
Hi. Okay, so I'm just going to talk really briefly about the symbolic framework that we applied to our client after our initial consultation with him. We actually decided on placing the incubator into the symbolic framework because if you read, well, it was located in the PowerPoint that Dr. Swanson provided to us like quite a while back, but we referred back to that when we were creating our final campaign. And the symbolic framework is really about symbolism and about being kind of like innovative, which is exactly what the incubator is all about. It's a place where innovative minds and students and people that have these ideas that they want to be produced into something that's like so much bigger than just a thought in their mind, where they can actually like go to a place and be supported by people that have been successful in entrepreneurial areas, business, marketing, technology fields, engineering fields. Basically, that's exactly what the incubator is all about. Okay, so for our key audiences, as Ellen has mentioned before, one of our key audiences was definitely corporate sponsors. Like we said, the incubator is fee-based. It does require a $5,000 deposit from the students that choose, or people too, that choose to use the incubator as a means to get their idea or product developed or in production. Other places like the incubator, other places that are able to provide these services are also receiving corporate sponsorships, so they are able to deduct that cost. It's a free service to other people. Our hopes in creating the campaign for the incubator was that we would be able to give them the correct resources so that they are then able to outreach to those potential corporate sponsors. Then the second audience is the CSUF community. The CSUF community, we mean students, we mean undergraduate students, we mean graduate students. We'd like to say the entire campus of Cal State Fullerton, but we had to kind of break it down a little bit. So we try to really connect with students that are connected to the Mahalo College of Business and Economics. Also, any students that have a genuine interest in the areas that I listed, the business field, marketing field, entrepreneurial field, engineering, technology, really. Yeah. Okay, so we developed a list of corporate sponsors, and those, we really tried to keep it within the Southern California, specifically Southern Orange County area, just for ease of access for Philip. And we also utilized the electronic message boards, which are located on campus. So there's one, I'm sure most of you have seen it, there's one that's like right above University Hall, and then there's another one as you're walking into the Titan Student Union. That one might be a little, because of all the construction going on, you might not be like paying attention to it very much, but it's there, yeah. Okay, so for our tactics, we obtained a list of Southern California-based corporate sponsors, particularly the sponsors that are particularly companies that are involved in technology fields or marketing fields, business fields, that sort of thing. We developed a list of Cal State Fullerton student clubs and organizations within the business, marketing, technology, engineering fields. For that, we really utilize, I don't know if any of you are aware of Titan Link, but it's available through the Cal State Fullerton portal. If you're involved in any clubs and organizations on campus, all of your information is actually stored within Titan Link. So that was really useful to us. Along with Titan Link also provides descriptions of each club and organization, which was really which really helped us in developing these contact lists, because we were able to go through each organization and really kind of figure out which ones we felt would benefit the most from having contact with the incubator. We also wrote a sponsorship pitch letter. So along with reaching out to corporate sponsors, you have to do so professionally. The incubator is asking for sponsorship, so in order to conduct that sort of communication, we wanted to make sure that they had the proper tools. One of these was being a sponsorship pitch letter, kind of a call to action to corporate sponsors to, hey, take a look at the CSUF incubator, come see what we do, come to our meetings, and then maybe, just maybe, you'll show some interest and be able to help us out, and help out the students that are, that's what the incubator is all about. And then we also designed trifold brochures. So the trifold brochures are actually used, they have a dual purpose. They are for the corporate sponsors as well as outreach to students. So the trifolds were created with that in mind. And actually when I'll get to those later and you'll be able to see what they look like. Okay, yeah, so this is the outside of the trifold. So we really, when we were designing this, we wanted to keep it really simple and clean. So this would be the front page. This is like the back middle page. This is the sort of like inside middle. It shares a success story about Chopa Drones, which was one of the biggest success stories of the incubator. And then also it included all of the necessary contact information, because these are going to corporate sponsors as well as being handed out to students. And then this is just sort of the inside, listing why choose the incubator, about what their purpose is, and also where they're located. Okay, so for our tools, we use the electronic message board, as I stated before. The electronic message board was kind of it was a decision that the client and we made kind of mutually. We thought that it would be a really good way, even though we were trying to really break down who we wanted to outreach to. The bottom line is that the CSUF incubator is a place for every and all students, regardless of your degree or regardless of your degree or what area you're studying in. It's just a place where if you have an idea, you could be a comm degree major or whatever, and I mean, if you have an idea and you really want to get it developed, then the incubator is the place to go. But we wanted to just make sure that pretty much that everybody knew that the incubator was having an event, or that they were having meetings, or that they were hosting this and that. So our goals were to establish a greater awareness of the Cal State Fullerton Startup Incubator. We devised a method of communication between the incubator and corporate sponsors, which included the trifold brochures and the sponsorship letter, sort of like a corporate sponsor mailing package. We devised a method of communication between the incubator and the CSUF community, so that was the trifold brochure and also the electronic message boards. And we supplied the incubator with the necessary resources to conduct further outreach efforts, which have been included in the package that we received today. Okay, so our objectives were the corporate sponsor funding and the CSUF community outreach. So we needed the corporate sponsor. The corporate sponsor funding was an objective of ours because it's really crucial for the future success of the incubator if they want to attract more students. The $5,000 fee is kind of one of those things where students here, especially here, I know some of you are kind of thinking whoa, $5,000. I know I was thinking that across, when we were in our initial meeting. So finding the corporate sponsors that could potentially be able to help fund the incubator was really important, and being able to provide the incubator with the resources necessary in order to do so was part of our plan. And then the Cal State Fullerton community outreach. So that was just outreaching to students, grad students, undergrad students, the students that we actually compiled a list of the 25 organizations and student clubs that are located on Cal State Fullerton campus that are, like I said, that would benefit the most from having contact with Philip and the incubator. Okay, so I will hand this over to
Okay.
Ellen to talk about our challenge.
Okay. We did have a team challenge, developing the sponsor pitch letter. Okay, at first, I thought perhaps we should do a fundraising letter, but that did not work. So we decided to do promoting what Cal State University Fulton is doing for its students to start their own business. And we wanted the sponsors to become aware of this. And ultimately, we did a close to action where we gave the contact information so that we could follow up, and we provided the email and phone number. And what we wanted to do in the body of the context, which I should have mentioned earlier, was that we wanted to let them know that we would like a donation from them.
So these are a few of the resources that we use throughout the entirety of our campaign. Time Fox, just to help keep track of the hours that we put in. Titan Link, as I mentioned, was a resource in creating the list of the 25 student clubs and organizations on campus that we felt would be, the best ones to outreach to, with students there that have an interest in marketing, in business, in technology, engineering, everything that the incubator is really looking for, and who they're trying to attract to use their services. Proforma High-Rise Printing and Graphics actually helped us to develop and design the trifold brochures. So we outsourced to a professional printing service because we wanted these to look as professional as possible, because they would be going out to businesses and companies for the corporate sponsorship letters. And then also the CSUF marketing team, they are the team located on campus that helped Philip and the incubator to collaborate and create the display board that they have actually up on the electronic messaging boards now. It's going to be there for the next 2 weeks, probably the remainder of the spring 2016 semester. And then the CSUF Department of Strategic Communications. They helped us to make sure that when we were creating the trifolds, that all of the print standards were within Cal State Fullerton print standards. We had to double check the fonts, the colors, the pictures that we were using, everything needed to be approved. This is just a calendar, kind of like a timeline showing everything that we did throughout the campaign. It's a Gantt calendar, yeah. So we have, sorry, the images got kind of warped, but it's, and then there's another piece of that. Okay, so our intended outcomes. Our intended outcomes for the campaign were the electronic message board display, which did happen and is still currently happening. The sponsorship letter, which we have provided and created for the client. The trifold brochure, which we have provided proofs to the client of. The corporate sponsor mailing package, which it would be a combination of the sponsorship letter and the trifold brochure. And then also the increased Cal State Fullerton community outreach. Our unexpected outcomes. So a couple weeks ago, we received an email. It was a forwarded email from Philip, but it was actually from John Bradley Jackson himself. And it was kind of like a timeline listing of the events that the CSUF Center for Entrepreneurship, as well as the CSUF Center or Startup Incubator, they are currently collaborating and hosting these events for the next few weeks. And we just wanted to really congratulate the incubator on that development, because that was not something that we weren't directly, involved with the planning of that, but we were just really glad to see the incubator taking such strides in making an effort to really outreach to students. The CSUF Center for Entrepreneurship has quite a following, and like the CSUF Center for Entrepreneurship really backs the incubator. So seeing that they were collaborating and creating these events and hosting these events and trying to really get out there to students was just really impressive, and we wanted to congratulate them on their efforts. Preparation and implementation. This is part of our measurement, assessment, and evaluation of success. So the preparation that we did for the electronic messaging boards was just kind of meeting with the client, asking that, talking about whether or not it would be a good tool to use to outreach to students, which ultimately we decided it would be. And then the implementation part was, we talked to Katie Myers. She's the person that is in charge of the marketing team, which also helps to develop the electronic messaging boards. And she's the one that really communicated with us as well as Philip and the Incubator to develop these, the displays that are being seen right now. The sponsor letter, that was a collaborative effort between us. We even, outsourced Professor Evanow and Dr. Swanson to really take a look at those too. And the client to make sure that it provided the appropriate information and looked as professional as possible. The trifold brochure, so going into that, we really wanted to develop a design that was simple, that didn't have too much information, but also didn't have too little information, so that people really knew what the Incubator was about, and that they were able to really kind of, take a look at this brochure, kind of get a good idea. A lot of the outreach that Philip does with students is face-to-face, so having the brochure is really just an extra step, so that when he is, communicating with the students face-to-face, if you were to go to the meetings of the clubs or the organizations, this way he has something to hand out to them, so they have something to remember him by, and also to kind of like reflect back on after they had met him. And then there was the Cal State Fullerton, the corporate sponsor list, which is going to really guide the Incubator in sending out the mailings of the sponsorship packages, including the trifold and the sponsor letter. And then there was the Cal State Fullerton Student Clubs and Organization list, which was the list of the 25 clubs and organizations that are specifically involved in marketing, entrepreneurial fields, technology fields, and the engineering fields.
You need to start wrapping up.
Okay. So our impact was to develop an outreach strategy for the CSUF Startup Incubator. We also established a foundation for future outreach to be implemented and to make an effort for. And then our future success of the Incubator is really dependent on their follow through with the outreach strategies that we have provided to them. So this includes keeping up with the electronic messaging boards. The EMBs, they expire after 2 weeks. So once 2 weeks has passed, the visibility has ceased, and you must then resubmit forms for that. So that's something to keep up with. The sponsors mailing package, which includes the trifolds and the brochures, the trifolds and the sponsorship letters. The trifolds have not been printed yet. They're still the proofs are in the hands of the client. They do feel that they want to move forward with that, so that's part of moving forward and part of like the future success of the client. And then there's also the Cal State Fullerton Community Outreach, which is just following through with the list of organizations. The list of organizations also has contact information and the primary contact in which to look into in order to be able to visit those clubs and organizations. And that is it. Okay. We just wanted to say thank you to the Cal State Fullerton Incubator for really giving us this opportunity to work with you and to learn. I can honestly say that before meeting Philip, I was not aware of the Cal State Fullerton Business Incubator, so it's a really interesting organization on campus, and I'm